Hey everybody, this is Dominic, DeAngelo, WrestleZone.com. Today's date is July 8th, 2021. I'm happy to have with me here today. He's getting ready for Battle Riot 3 on Saturday here, July 10th. He's going to be facing TJP and making his return to the ring and his debut in MLW. I'm here with Davey Richards. Davey, thanks for joining me, man.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So it's kind of neat because I lived in Philly for, I want to say 5 years now. Well, I was in Philly for 5 years. And I first moved there. And I remember going to my first ever show was an ROH show on October. I got the ticket right here, October 2nd, 2010. And you were, I can't remember who you were wrestling, but you were on the card. And I knew very little about ROH and anything like that at that point. So, and I was like, hey, that Davey's my guy. So kind of neat coming full circle this cool. Saturday here. So I wanted to ask you, how does it feel just kind of, you're on the verge of just coming back here. So talk about that a little bit and how what's your mindset going into this weekend and everything?
I think like everyone else, I'm super excited and, I just, for a multitude of reasons, to return to, wrestling on television, that'll be really awesome, to be in Battle Riot, to debut in MLW, to face TJP. And also I think like a lot of people just get out and live a normal life, and see people and experience things in person again. So it's almost kind of like a culmination of a lot of anticipation. So it's going to be a really special event.
It is. And what's like some of your fond memories of working at the ECW arena, also now the 2300 arena and everything like that, and Philadelphia too?
Yeah. Man, there's been a lot. Definitely my 30-minute Iron Man match with Tyler Black. That was a big one for me. Me and Eddie had so many good tag matches there. And even in other promotions that ran there, like the New Japan USA, the old ones, I wrestled Tanahashi.
Whoa.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of cool experiences there. Just, a lot with Ring of Honor, of course, obviously, but a lot of other promotions too. Dragon Gate USA had a really cool match with Yamato. So there's a lot of good memories there.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's such a neat atmosphere. And
yeah.
I'm curious how it's going to look now. I don't know if they did any renovations since I was last there. But it's a very neat vibe, and it's gonna be sold out. So it's like you said, it's back into the thick of things with it all. So it's
awesome.
It's gonna be neat, man. What I wanted to ask too is, you talked about it, I'm sure already at several, whether it's with interviews and stuff like that. But talk about your inspiration of just coming back into wrestling, and like you kind of said, you took the time off, and it was a recharge of batteries, basically. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely a recharge of batteries. Just because I've been sitting in a classroom for 3 years, so it's been a little boring. The rumor was going around that I retired, but I never retired, from anything. I just had to go do something else for a little bit, and I was so inundated with what I was doing as far as school. I hadn't really thought about wrestling in a couple of years, but this last year, just it was really, really, really kind of creeping up on me. And then I was watching my favorite show, Cobra Kai. And so and the scene where Johnny's watching Iron Eagle, which I've seen that movie a million times and never picked up on it, about where God doesn't give people things he doesn't want them to use. And like that was right there. I just knew. I told my wife, I was like, I got to go back. And she's been so supportive. So it's, because wrestling's, it's always been a very big part of my life, since I was 10. So it's, so it's, it feels like coming home.
Yeah. And taking that break from it and everything, how tuned in were you to the product, or were you just more so just kind of like, maybe watch older matches like that you grew up watching or certain things like that? Was there something? Nothing?
Nothing. I didn't watch any wrestling at all for probably 2.5 years because one, again, I was so inundated with everything with school and everything, and being, a father. And but two, I knew if I watched, it's kind of like it's a drug, So I kind of like if I watched it, it was kind of like, So so I was at least smart enough to avoid it. And it's also made it a lot funner catching up on everything. So
right, it's like everything's new.
yeah. So so I was kind of starting from scratch again.
Yeah, something I find really cool too is, and I hear this all the time, and not just from wrestling, but if I'm listening to like sports podcasts or things like that, like people get so inundated with certain things that they're into. So whether it's wrestling or social media or anything like that, what I think's very neat is that yeah, you have a life outside of wrestling and like family and going to class and stuff like that.
Mm.
How important has that been to you? Kind of not only just to take the break, but now you going into wrestling with those added elements of like, class and family and all that stuff. How is that kind of going in with a better, do you have a better mindset overall, would you say, for it?
For me, I kind of need that balance. Just I think because I can't just do wrestling because I'll drive myself crazy because I'm so trying to be diplomatic. There's got to be some other word, but I can't find one. I'm so obsessed with being the best wrestler. And, I'm absolutely upset ever since I was like, in amateur wrestling. I cannot turn my mind off if I don't go do something else. I'll be thinking of wrestling nonstop. So for me, that balance is very important.
So you mentioned like Cobra Kai and things like that. What other stuff kind of kept you occupied from an entertainment perspective? And like kind of not only with, I mean, class did, but like what outside stuff that maybe
music. Yeah, music. I'm a big heavy metal fan. So I found a lot of new bands that I really like, and got to finally, because usually I used to work on every weekends, and I could actually go see some concerts of bands I really wanted to see. I never got the chance to. So, that's pretty much what I did. And, a lot of entertainment comes from being a dad, especially to a toddler. It's pretty fun. So
yeah,
I got my fill.
It's like you live your nostalgia through them.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
the thing about it. Talk about going. So you are facing TJP this Saturday.
Yeah.
Talk about him and his work. And have you worked with him before? He's been in MLW.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, we've wrestled so many places. I can't remember them all. Wrestled a lot together in Japan. California, Ring of Honor. I know I'm forgetting. Me and him have wrestled a lot. So he's one of my most. He's one of my favorite opponents by far. He's so talented on multi levels, and so he always brings out the best, and I'm sure we'll bring out the best in each other. Yeah. And then Battle Riot. So they're putting me to work right away.
You got a full plate, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a busy guy.
Yeah. So what made you? You mentioned this to Alicia too during the draft. Was that you like the presentation and how MLW presents wrestling, like from that sports-like element and everything like that? What else were some motivating factors for you going into MLW, and how did this relationship come to be?
So I was very lucky and very fortunate that when I announced I was going to be coming back to wrestling, a few of the bigger companies reached out, and they were all, good offers, respectable offers, everything. I know MLW seemed really organic, seemed like a really good fit. For lack of a better term, felt very comfortable. It's no secret I've always viewed wrestling as a sport. I've never been into the real, silly characters and stuff. To each their own, but again, that's my own. So, it's good to be aligned with a company that I think thinks along the same level or along the same lines. So we're on the same level, I think. So it felt very organic.
Yeah. Did you get to catch any of the restart ones, like with the empty arenas and stuff like that they were doing?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
I thought the presentation of that stuff, like going into it, had that very sports-like feel with the timer at the top.
Yeah,
like that ESPN-esque or ticker going on and stuff. Very cool presentation. And is there certain aspects of? They have so many styles in MLW, and that's kind of like what they've embraced and everything.
Yeah.
There's certain style that you're kind of looking forward to getting back in the mix of and like complimenting with.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a technical wrestler. I like a lot of mat stuff and a lot of a lot of strikes. I like a very realistic side. I mean, I train in jiu-jitsu and kickboxing too. So of course I amateur wrestle, seems like, since I could walk. So, it's always going to be my main influences coming into wrestling. I just incorporate that into my wrestling. But, and there's guys going to be really good at that. I mean, we have a lot of really, and there's a lot of really talented big men like, Jacob Fatu, Alex Hammerstone. Like those are big guys, but you wouldn't think the way they wrestle because they're agile or they're as agile as, cruiserweights, you know what I mean? But they're big dudes, they're legit heavyweights. So, I think a lot of people there, because that's a cool thing about MLW. There's really no two wrestlers alike because Hammerstone wrestles nothing like Fatu. Fatu wrestles nothing like me. I wrestle, nothing like, TJP. So it's very eclectic where I feel like take Ring of Honor when I was there. A lot of us wrestled the same. We didn't know that then, but now looking back,
sure, you're like, oh, hey, this kind of looks the same. Stuff like
yeah, we're all competing for the same gold coin. It's just someone just going, you know what? I might just grab the silver. I'll be all right.
You know what? Yeah, that's fine. No, it's kind of neat because, I think of all the different talents from like Calvin Tankman to like Myron Reed, and you have all, and even the tag teams and stuff too, and like
Von
like a brawler like Tom Lawler too and stuff. And some very the eclectic mix of folks going in. Is there any other names maybe that you're kind of looking forward to maybe mixing it up with in MLW?
In addition to the ones I just mentioned, I mean, there's a lot of really great talent there. Like Tom Lawler, we've wrestled before, and it's always, just a challenge, and that's what I love. Matt Cross got signed, that'd be great. So I think there'll be a lot. I think everyone, the cool thing is everyone's going there to prove themselves against anyone. So like, there's no people are kind of like, well, I just want to be in this division. I just want to face this guy. Or I just want, go for that belt. Like everyone's just like kind of, it's a team, but it's a very competitive team, which I like.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, would you say how much would you say? Because I spoke to Doug Williams back in March when he announced that he was returning to wrestling, and he said a big motivator for him was the pandemic, basically, and knowing that like if you still have and you kind of mentioned it already, but was the pandemic and going through that kind of situation, was that also kind of a motivator in coming back a little bit?
Not for me because, in addition to going to medical school and being a wrestler and a dad, I'm also a paramedic. So, so I was very busy during the pandemic. Very busy. We saw a lot of sick people. So, I was raised with my grandparents, so I saw a lot of, pathology, growing up and eventually them succumbing to their diseases. So I've always been really aware of like how precious life is. So, and I'm, I've always been so thankful for wrestling. I mean, since the first time I stepped on a mat when I was a young kid. So, I mean, like the pandemic was definitely, I guess, I would agree with Doug. If I understand correctly, it's more kind of like seize the day, take advantage of the time you got and the ability that you have. But, for me, it was like, I never lost that, I didn't need to be, and I'm not saying he did, but I'm just saying like for myself, like I always have identified myself as a wrestler. It's part of my identity. It's not just something that I do. Like I will become a doctor, you know what I mean? But I'll always be a wrestler. So I always had that passion for it.
Right. Talk about your passion to being like a doctor and going into the medical field and stuff like that. What was a big motivator for you to do that?
Well, I knew you can't wrestle forever, like you can't, especially my kind of style, So I was working out in a gym in St. Louis, and I saw some firefighters, and I'm like, talking to them, and they were explaining me their job, and they're like, you should be a firefighter. And I was like, that's a great idea. Yeah. And this is back when I was like in pro wrestling, I think. And they're like, well, to become a firefighter, you have to go to EMT school. And I'm like, what the hell is an EMT? So anyways, I went to that and I loved it. Then I went to paramedic school and I loved that, and just kind of, and became a fireman as well. And there's a lot of similarities between that and being in wrestling, because, I think in wrestling, what makes it very difficult for people to transition out of is that you don't have that adrenaline rush. If you go from wrestling to like a day or a desk job, that's going to be rough.
Yes.
So for me, it's kind of like 3 a.m. getting woken up, then there's a burning building and people trapped inside, or, someone got shot or something, which happens a lot here in St. Louis. That's that same adrenaline rush, and you got to be on the ball. Just like if you're like, I got to be on the ball Saturday, because if not, those Philly fans are going to let me know that I suck, but I like that, that's me. That's when I come alive. So, and then just wanting to, I guess, kind of, I don't know, discovering I had a knack for it, a talent for it, like I'm very calm under fire. And so just wanted to continue going. And then somehow got the crazy idea in my head that I'm going to go to medical school and then, and here we are.
Hey, go full force, man. I think that too. Yeah. I mean, cause so many people, I work at Whole Foods as my day job, and we had a coworker that went into the paramedic field and everything like
Nice.
that. And it's such an intense, obviously an intense thing to do. You talk about being calm in those moments, starting off like doing that, and not only like going into firefighting, like when you were first going into that, like maybe stepping into your first building or certain things like that, was there a lot of nerves going in there? Did you kind of find yourself like relatively calm for the most part?
I would say the first fire was it was like it's 2:00 in the morning, really crappy part of town, and we would get called out for a lot of those and turned out to be nothing. So it's like 2 a.m. I'm like, I'm half asleep. We're in the back of the fire truck. We're racing down the highway, and my captain goes, "Are you ready for this?" And I'm like, and I look up, and then we come over the hill, and I see this house just completely engulfed, and I'm like, "Oh shit! Like, this is the real deal. Like, here we go."
Yeah.
And and the first thing he's like, grab 2 chainsaws, you and your partner go up to the roof, cut a hole, da 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 da, and man, just the heat from the fire was like, so like it was but then once I was in there, it was like, this is pretty badass,
Yeah.
like the first, I was a flight paramedic too. I fly in the helicopters, and the first time I went up, I was like, holy shit. Then afterwards, it got to be like kind of, it becomes what you do, like, if I had to like give a speech in front of a crowd, or like address like a college dormitory or something, I would be shitting my pants. But go wrestle in front of the ECW, or 2300 building sold out. That's easy.
Yeah.
Someone got shot 5 times. That's easy.
Walk.
Yeah, it's just what you're conditioned to. You know what I mean? So these are the two things. I mean, I've only ever had 2 jobs: wrestling and being a first responder. It's literally all I've ever done in my life. So but yeah.
So you going from that, like, yeah, if you had to go like to a desk job or just sit in a cubicle, that's just like, yeah. I did that a little bit, and it was like one of Dante's stages of hell for me. Like,
in the 7th circle. Yeah, I couldn't. No, that would not be okay with me.
And not fly. Mm-hmm. So, okay, you talked about being a heavy metal fan and stuff like that. What concerts did you get to go to, and what are some of your favorite bands in general?
I finally got to see Judas Priest live, which was awesome. I did miss Iron Maiden because I was working on an ambulance. But that was cool. And a lot of bands that unfortunately aren't so popular. A band called Cryptos, they're really good. Enforcer, really, really good. So I got to see those guys. There's a newer band that's a little more popular, Ghost. I went and saw them a couple times. Big fans of theirs. So all in all, man, it was really good. Me and my friend Tony went and saw Metallica here, and that was good. So yeah, finally got to go see some concerts. I'm really big fan of a band called AFI. I know they're not a heavy metal.
Oh,
band,
yeah.
But yeah, that's been my favorite band since I was in high school. So I went and saw them twice. And they were with Rise Against one time, so that was awesome.
Ooh, that's a great combo. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was in Nashville, so.
Whoa, no shit.
yeah, it was a cool thing. Yeah, so that's been a lot, of what I've been doing. So
yeah. No, music, and like, I mean, obviously music and wrestling are so synonymous with one another and everything. So
yeah.
Is there, say if you had the ultimate, and you probably did this before, whether it was in ROH or on the indies or certain things like that, what's your go-to theme song, or do you have like a new theme song in mind if you could choose your own right now?
Well, I was really lucky like this time around because I knew I wanted music that was not like just thrown at you. That's how TV writes. So I got a hold of this band that I love called Enforcer, and I was like, hey man, like, can I use your song? And they got back, like, yeah, absolutely. So my song now is an edited version, has a wolf howl in it, the song called Katana by Enforcer. So I think I'm the only guy in MLW that has like a custom, like, legitimate song. Whoa. Which is pretty cool. When me and Eddie first started tagging, I don't think many people recognized it, but actually our first entrance was the middle part from Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Iron Maiden.
Okay.
That was by far my favorite. But we went on TV, didn't have the rights.
Can't do that then.
Yeah.
Unless
But,
you're
yeah,
back in the Paul Heyman days, like in
yeah, right, yeah, right, yeah. So unfortunately, but that was my favorite one.
Oh man. Okay. Great, man. Great. Okay. So what we did during the pandemic too, and we've kind of kept up with it a little bit, is something we call like a watch list. It was mostly to keep like viewers entertained and like kind of occupied.
Yeah,
Uh, as far as it can be any of your matches, like from the past or anything, or just matches in general that you've enjoyed, like growing up or as a pro too.
yeah.
Pick like 3 matches or so that maybe that you're just that's a keystone for you in your career and stuff.
In my career, I would say everyone always expects me to say me and Eddie Edwards best in the world, but like I got knocked down that match, so I really don't remember much of it.
Yeah.
Which goes to show you how good Eddie is to carry me through that. I would say me and Michael Elgin, Showdown in the Sun.
Okay.
I'd say me and Eddie Edwards and the Hardy Boys in Impact in the Manhattan Ballroom.
Oh,
And then the third, man, if they can find it, me and Koji Kanemoto in New Japan.
oh,
Really loved that match. Those would be my big 3. So, and then my big 3 for other matches, the second Dynamite Kid Tiger Mask match.
yeah,
The second Misawa Kawada, no, I'm sorry, the third Kawada Misawa match from All Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And then, boy, the third one would be tough. I don't know. Think of a match I always really liked watching. Yeah, I would say, if you can get your hands on it, honestly, I think it'd be Bret Hart versus Davey Boy Smith in Wimbledon.
Yeah, SummerSlam and
I was so many things just popped in my head. Like, oh, there was that one Kurt Hennig, Bret Hart. Man, I'm a big Bret Hart fan.
Oh, me too, man. Me too.
Yeah, and then like I was thinking like Benoit Guerrero from Nitro, and I was like, God, so I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Throw a dart.
Yeah, right. You'll hit something, especially when you got a list of Bret Hart matches in front of you. Holy smokes.
Right? Yeah.
His biography is awesome. I just love it, and it's.
Oh yeah, man.
I think if I remember too, like Davey was kind of out of it when they were wrestling so and he was he was describing how he was kind of working the match and everything. It was a great match nonetheless too. It's just
oh man, it was great. Yeah,
yeah.
Pressure was on.
Hell yeah, brother. Cool. All right, so this Saturday, July 10th, Battle Riot 3. You're taking on TJP and you're in the Battle Riot. So it's going to be good stuff. So tune in for that, everybody. Davey, anything else you want to plug?
Just support Graps Apparel on my Twitter and on my Instagram. My Twitter is @RichardsWesley. My Instagram is Davey_Richards83. You can find these great shirts. It's a wrestler owned and operated brand. It's really cool. And then obviously, man, MLW this Saturday. In addition to that, we're going to be on Vice TV, and we're coming to make a statement, man. We're coming to kill. So you don't go to war to get killed. So We're coming to war to kill. So it's going to be great. And if the fans are the soldiers, we got the best soldiers in the wrestling world in Philly, and let's do it.
Dude,
make it special.
It's going to be great stuff, man. All right, guys, this is Dominic DeAngelo. You can follow WrestleZone on Twitter @WrestleZone.com. You can go to WrestleZone.com for all your wrestling news needs, and follow me on Twitter @Dominic DeAngelo. All right, guys, thanks a lot.